Welcome back to the Alliance Educational Series. This video module is in our collection on signing a fair contract. In fact, it's part of learning how to review a contract with a job description. In part 1, we talked about how to discuss location, living conditions, and duties and work conditions. In part 2, you'll learn about how to understand contract terms related to your salary, benefits and leave allowances, and orientation. You should feel satisfied before you sign into a serious commitment. So for each section of the job description, we offer strategies for a conversation with your recruiter or employer. First, let's talk about your salary. Some health professionals have signed contracts immediately after arriving in the US. Then, they discovered that they were making less money than Americans doing the same work. Others found out that they were making less than the employees they were supervising. It's important to talk about salary before you sign, before you arrive in the United States, and before you begin working. The first thing you'll need to know for this conversation is the prevailing wage. In the United States, workers on an H-1, H-2, or E-3 visa must be paid at least the prevailing wage of that occupation. To set the prevailing wage, the U.S. Department of Labor considers education, skill level, and experience. They also investigate how much others in the field make and calculate the average wage of workers employed in a similar area. These factors help to determine the 4 levels of prevailing wage. Entry level is first, followed by qualified, then experienced, and finally fully competent. You can learn the prevailing wage for your position and area. Visit the Foreign Labor Certification Data Center website. You can find a link from the resource page of the Alliance website. Next, it's important to ask whether your experience and education will be recognized. If so, you know which level of prevailing wage will be used to determine your salary. For example, using the Foreign Labor Certification Data Center, you might find that for an entry-level registered nurse in Oakland, Fremont, or Hayward, California, the prevailing wage is $38.42 per hour. That amounts to about $80,000 per year. A fully competent RN earns more than $130,000 per year. Some recruiters and employers do not recognize years of professional experience outside the U.S. If your job offer places you at the entry level, your salary could be lower than your American coworkers. To understand your offer, you could ask,
what is my salary? How does this compare to the prevailing wage for nurses in this region? How does this compare to my co-workers at the same organization? As a candidate, do you consider me to be an entry-level, qualified, experienced, or fully competent? Will my work experience in my home country can be considered in my starting salary or later promotions?
At this point in the conversation, you should understand your base salary and how it is calculated. Next, consider other forms of compensation. In the U.S., working on holidays and working more than the time scheduled is called overtime. Overtime can get you extra pay. Ask,
Will I be required to work overtime? Will I be required to work on holidays? If so, will I be paid extra?
now you can compare your compensation to offers from other employers or recruiters. Knowing the salary for many different positions, locations, and organizations can help you negotiate. The pay you receive in the United States might be more than in your home country. However, the U.S. is also an expensive place with a high cost of living. As you work to understand an offer, remember that a good salary is fair and enough to cover the cost of living in your location. Next, you'll need to understand employment benefits. U.S. employers are required to provide some benefits. If you are injured or become sick at work, disability is a general name for an employer's help paying lost wages and medical bills, as well as a portion of your salary. Family leave is a chance to return to your job if you must leave to care for a family member, such as a new child, your parent, or spouse. This leave does not include wages for time you are away. If you receive health insurance, the COBRA law makes sure that you can continue to have coverage for some time after you leave or your hours are reduced. Some employers provide more benefits to their workers. One is called hazard pay. This is additional compensation for staff with risky or dangerous jobs, such as frequent exposure to radiation or raw human waste. Ask,
Are any parts of my work considered hazardous? Does my employer offer hazard pay? If parts of my position are later determined to be hazardous, can I negotiate to receive hazard pay?
Another form of benefits may get you paid on certain days away from work, such as vacation days, holidays, and sick days. You can ask,
How many days of paid sick leave are included in the offer? How many vacation days are included? Are these paid or unpaid days? How many holidays are included in the offer? If I don't use my sick days, vacation days, holidays in 1 year, do they get added to the next one?
in March of 2010, the U.S. Congress passed the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. It's often called ACA, or Obamacare. The law requires individuals to have health insurance and created new ways for people to get it. Immigrants with work visas are required to follow this law. So you'll want to know if, like most Americans, your employer offers healthcare benefits. If the answer is yes, there's more to discover. Each employer offers different packages. Ask,
Will I be eligible to sign up for medical, dental, or vision insurance? What percentage of the cost for my insurance will I pay each month? How much do I pay for every visit to a doctor or clinic? If I need a prescription, how much will my insurance pay?
Finally, some employers also offer retirement benefits called pension schemes or superannuation plans in other countries. These programs save money from your salary now to give you when you retire from a job. There's so much to talk about when you're getting ready to sign a contract. Before you sign, discuss a final topic: orientation. Moving to a new country can be very stressful. A proper clinical orientation can prepare you to quickly transition into working with new patients and coworkers. A good cultural orientation can help you to adjust to life and customs in the U.S. You'll want to ask,
Will I receive any clinical or cultural orientation when I arrive in the US? How long is each orientation session or the orientation period? Will I be paid during orientation? If so, how is the compensation calculated? Will I be assigned a preceptor or mentor in my new professional setting?
every migrant professional deserves to sign a fair contract when they are satisfied, serious, and committed to the terms, and that takes work. In this module, we offered many questions to ask before signing. In part 1, we talked about location, living conditions, duties, and work conditions. In Part 2, we've covered salary, benefits and leave allowances, and orientation. Did you watch both Part 1 and Part 2? Let's test your knowledge. Imagine that an international recruitment agency has offered you a contract for a job. Which of the following would you not expect to see as part of the job description? A. A description of the benefits your employer offers, such as health insurance or a pension. B. A guarantee to help your family migrate after fulfilling a certain amount of time on the contract. C. An explanation of salary that addresses prevailing wage, overtime, and holidays. D. A description of the knowledge and skills needed to perform specific duties. E. The name of your future employer and their location in the United States. The correct answer is B. While you may be excited to connect with family after migrating, this is not typically part of a contract with an employer. Reading carefully and asking questions are key when reviewing a contract with a job description, but you do not need to complete the process alone. You can ask for legal advice or use other video modules in the Alliance Educational Series. If you can't find what you need, tell us what you want to learn next. You can email us directly